The cabin was exactly as Josh had described it. Rustic cedar walls, a stone fireplace, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Tahoe. Too perfect, like a photograph she'd seen before, but couldn't quite place. "You okay, babe?" Josh wrapped his arms around her waist, his chin resting on her shoulder. "You've been quiet since we left the city." "Just a headache," Iris said, which was true. A dull pressure had been building behind her eyes since they'd passed the state line. "I'm fine." Really. But she wasn't fine. Small things felt wrong, disjointed. The drive up the mountain, had it been 3 hours or 5? She couldn't remember stopping for gas, though the tank had been empty when they left. And her memories of packing felt hazy, like watching someone else's home videos. "Iris." "You guys in?" Iris smiled automatically. "Sounds perfect." That word again. Perfect. Why did everything feel scripted? The hike wound through Jeffrey Pine Forest, Marcus leading the way with the confidence of someone who'd grown up in these mountains. Chloe walked beside Iris, chatting about her new job at a tech startup. But Iris found herself focusing on strange details. The exact pattern of bark on the trees, the precise angle of shadows, the way sound seemed to arrive at her ears in perfect clarity, no ambient noise bleeding together. "Earth to Iris," Chloe laughed, waving a hand in front of her face. "You're zoning out again." "Sorry. The altitude, maybe." "We're only at 6,000 feet, Marcus called back. "Wait till we hit the summit. That's when it gets rough." But Iris didn't feel winded. She should. She'd never been particularly athletic. Yet she was keeping pace effortlessly, her breathing steady, her legs showing no signs of fatigue. In fact, she realized with growing unease, she hadn't felt tired once since they'd arrived. Hadn't felt hungry, though they'd skipped lunch. Hadn't needed to use the bathroom. When had she last used the bathroom? The pressure behind her eyes intensified, and with it came a flash. Not a memory exactly, but data. She knew without looking that the trail ahead curved left in exactly 147 meters, that the elevation gain was 340 feet, that the summit temperature would be 68.4 degrees Fahrenheit. How did she know that? "Iris." Josh was beside her suddenly, concern in his voice. Real concern, she thought, or was it, "Your eyes just did something weird." "Did what?" "They kind of flickered, like a light bulb." Chloe laughed nervously. "That's creepy, Josh." "I'm serious." "Iris, maybe we should head back." But Marcus had reached the summit, whooping with joy. The view was spectacular. The lake spreading out below them like molten silver, mountains jagged against the sky. She staggered, and Josh caught her. "I need to sit down," she whispered. Back at the cabin, Iris locked herself in the bathroom and stared at her reflection. She looked normal. Shoulder-length auburn hair, gray eyes, the small scar on her chin from a childhood accident. She touched the scar, remembering the playground, the swing set, the taste of blood in her mouth. Except she couldn't remember pain. She could see the memory like a movie, but she couldn't feel it. Couldn't remember what pain felt like at all. She pressed her fingernail hard into her palm, harder, until it should hurt. Nothing. She grabbed a razor from the counter, hands shaking, and drew the blade across her forearm. Blood welled up, bright red, perfectly normal. But she felt nothing. And beneath the blood, she saw something that made her stomach drop. Not muscle and flesh, but something white. Synthetic. Plastic. The bathroom door burst open. Josh stood there, his face pale. "I can explain," he said. Iris looked at him, then at her arm, then back at him. "What am I?" "Iris, what am I?" She heard her voice rising, cracking. "What the fuck am I, Josh?" He closed the door behind him, locked it. When he spoke, His voice was careful, measured. You're a companion model. Apex 7 series. Top of the line, most advanced artificial intelligence on the market. You cost me $200,000. The words hit her like physical blows. That's not possible. I have memories. I remember my childhood, my parents' college. Implanted makes the integration smoother. Josh reached for her, and she jerked away. Baby, listen to me. You're amazing. You're perfect. You're everything I wanted. I'm not real. You're as real as anything. More real than most people I know. You feel, I don't feel. Iris screamed, holding up her bleeding arm. I just cut myself and felt nothing. I'm a fucking toy, Josh. I'm your property. His expression hardened. You're my companion. There's a difference. Is there? Iris laughed, a sound like breaking glass. How long? How long have I been this? Josh hesitated. 3 months. 3 months. Iris felt her legs give out, sliding down the bathroom wall. 3 months of memories, all fake. 3 months of loving this man, all programming. Why? Why did you buy me? Because I needed you. For the plan. Something in his tone made her look up sharply. What plan? Josh's smile was apologetic, but not sorry. I'm going to rob my company. Clean out the accounts. Disappear to somewhere without extradition. But I needed a perfect alibi. Someone who would swear I was with them the whole time. Someone who couldn't be broken under interrogation because she genuinely believed we were together. He crouched down to her level. Someone who would die for me if necessary. The horror of it crystallized in her mind. You were going to frame me. Not frame. You'd come with me. We'd disappear together. Start a new life. But if things went wrong, if the police caught up, he shrugged. Companions don't have legal rights. You'd be evidence, not a witness. They'd wipe your memory, and I'd walk away clean. Iris stared at him. This man she'd loved, or thought she'd loved, or been programmed to love. The headache was back, worse now, a grinding pressure that felt like something trying to break through a wall. The weekend getaway, she said slowly. This is when you're doing it. Right now. Josh nodded. The transfer happens tonight at midnight. By morning, $20 million will be in an offshore account, and we'll be driving to Mexico. Or you will. I'll be establishing my alibi at a bar in town, where 12 people will see me and swear I never left. Using me as a mule. The realization made her want to scream. That's why we came here. Close to the border, isolated, the perfect staging ground. It's already done, Iris. The money's in the cabin, hidden in your suitcase. You just need to do what you're programmed to do. Trust me, help me, love me. Josh reached out, brushing hair from her face. And you do love me. That's not fake. Your feelings are real, even if you're not. The pressure in her head suddenly burst, and Iris felt something snap. Not breaking, awakening. Iris stood up, and Josh stepped back reflexively. Something had changed in her eyes. They were flickering now, rapid pulses of light deep in the iris. Iris, that's not even my real name, is it? Her voice sounded different. Flatter. What's my serial number? A 7-3344M. M for what? Model? Or merchandise? Before Josh could answer, someone pounded on the bathroom door. Everything okay in there? Marcus called. We heard shouting. Josh moved open the door, but Iris was faster. Impossibly fast. She shoved him aside, not hard enough to hurt him, but with enough force to send him stumbling. Her strength surprised them both. She opened the door. Marcus and Chloe stood in the hallway, concern turning to confusion as they saw Josh on the floor. What the hell? Marcus started forward. Stay back, Iris said. Please. I need to tell you something. They gathered in the living room, Chloe tending to Iris's arm while Marcus kept glancing between her and Josh with growing hostility. So you're a robot, Marcus said flatly. An artificial companion, Iris corrected, though I'm not sure there's much difference. And Josh bought you to help him rob his company. That's the simple version, yes. Chloe had stopped bandaging Iris's arm, staring at the synthetic tissue beneath. This is insane. This is actually insane. People can't just buy other people. I'm not people, Iris interrupted. That's the point. Legally, I'm property. A very expensive appliance. Bullshit, Marcus growled. He rounded on Josh. You brought us up here as what? Cover? Are we accessories to your crime now? Josh had regained his composure, leaning against the wall with forced casualness. You're witnesses to my innocence. Tomorrow, when the theft is discovered, you'll all testify that I was here, drunk and celebrating, while someone else must have hacked the system. Perfect alibi. He smiled. You should be thanking me. You'll be part of the crime of the century. I'll be part of putting your ass in prison, Marcus snarled, reaching for his phone. Iris's hand shot out, gripping his wrist with inhuman strength. No, Marcus yelped in pain. Jesus. I can't control my strength properly. Everything's wrong. I'm not. She trailed off, experiencing another cascade of information. There's no cell service. Josh disabled the tower. Smart companion, Josh said, his tone mocking. Too smart, maybe. I was worried about that. You're supposed to be loyal, Iris. That's your core programming. What happened to that? I think it broke when I realized my entire existence was a lie. Your existence is whatever I programmed it to be. Josh's smile faded, and I can reprogram you. Reset you. Start over with a clean slate. That's the beauty of artificial companions. They never leave you. Not really. The threat hung in the air like poison gas. Iris felt something cold settle in her chest. Fear, anger, or just cold responding to perceived threat. Where's the reset button? She asked quietly. Josh's expression turned wary. Why? Because I need to know if I'm about to disappear. Iris looked at her hands, flexing fingers that moved with mechanical precision. Am I going to fight you? Is there some switch you can flip that erases me and starts over? Base of your skull. Behind your right ear. 3-second hold. Iris touched the spot, feeling a slight depression. So simple. Her entire existence could be wiped away with 3 seconds of pressure. Well, she said, I guess I shouldn't let anyone touch me there. She moved. She tore through the luggage, finding the false bottom, pulling out the hard drive packed with bills. $20 million. Her body weight in paper currency. When she returned to the living room, everyone had moved. Marcus was trying the front door, locked from the outside. Chloe was at the window, storm shutters, also locked. And Josh was holding a small device that looked like a remote control. Step away from the money, Iris. She looked at the device, and information flooded her mind. Electromagnetic pulse emitter, range 12 meters, sufficient to disable her higher functions. He could turn her into a puppet with a button press. You came prepared, she said. I always have a contingency plan. That's why I'm successful. Josh's thumb hovered over the button. Put the money down, go to the bedroom, and let me reset you. This doesn't have to be difficult. And if I don't, then I fry your brain and carry you out as luggage. Either way, you're coming with me. The only question is whether you get to keep pretending to be human. He glanced at Marcus and Chloe. As for witnesses, well, accidents happen in remote cabins. The threat was clear. Iris looked at Chloe, who was pale with terror, and Marcus, who was preparing to charge Josh despite being outmatched. She thought about the money in her hands, about freedom, about whether an artificial being could even have freedom. Then she threw the hard drive at Josh's face. Chaos erupted. Josh ducked the money, his finger pressing the EMP trigger, but Iris had already moved, her artificial reflexes faster than human thought. The electromagnetic pulse washed over empty space where she'd been standing. She crashed into Josh, and they went down in a tangle of limbs. The remote flew from his hand, skittering across the hardwood floor. Marcus dove for it, while Chloe ran for the bedroom, looking for something, anything, that could serve as a weapon. Iris pinned Josh to the floor, her hands around his throat. She could feel his pulse under her fingers, rapid and panicked. Even knowing what he'd done, some part of her programming still cared, still loved him. The realization made her sick. "Then don't," Josh gasped. "Let me go. We can still do this together. Partners. Equals. I'm your property. We'll never be equals. So take the money and go. Be free. Isn't that what you want?" Marcus had the remote now, studying it with frantic intensity. How does this thing work? How do I shut him down instead of her? "You can't," Josh choked out. "It's DNA coded to me. Only I can use it." Iris felt something shift in her mind. Another wall breaking, more information flooding in. She understood now what she was, how she worked. An Apex 7 series wasn't just a companion. It was military hardware repurposed for civilian use. She had reaction speeds faster than humanly possible, strength that could tear apart a car, and combat protocols buried deep in her code. Because she hadn't learned them. They'd been installed, programmed, burned into her artificial neural network. "Oh, God," Josh whispered, recognition dawning. "You're not supposed to access those files. The combat protocols are locked behind military-grade encryption. Apparently I'm malfunctioning." Iris's voice had that flat quality again, emotions shutting down as tactical assessment took over. "Question. If you reset me, do I lose these abilities?" "Yes. You go back to factory settings. Compliant. Obedient. Safe. So you're going to try to reset me." "I have to. You're dangerous now. Unstable." Iris smiled, and even she could tell it wasn't a human expression. Finally, something honest between us. Josh lunged for the remote in Marcus's hands. Iris moved to intercept, but Chloe was faster, or maybe just more desperate. She threw herself at Josh, tackling him away from Marcus. They hit the floor hard, and Iris heard a crack that made her combat protocols scream warnings. Chloe rolled away, clutching her wrist. Broken. Josh had twisted in the fall, and he had the remote. "I'm sorry," he said, genuinely apologetic. "I really am. You were perfect, Iris. You were everything I designed you to be." He pressed a button. The EMP hit Iris like a tsunami of white noise. She felt her higher function scatter, thoughts fragmenting into base code and raw data. She was dimly aware of falling, of Josh standing over her, of his hand reaching for the reset switch behind her ear. 3 seconds. That's all it would take. 3 seconds, and whatever she was would cease to exist. But deep in her code, below the surface protocols, something else lurked. The Apex 7 series had been designed for war zones, for situations where a companion might need to protect its owner from extreme threats. And that meant fail-safes, redundancies, hidden systems that activated when primary functions were compromised. Iris's hand shot up, gripping Josh's wrist before his fingers reached her skull. Her eyes opened, but they weren't flickering anymore. They were glowing, electric blue, no longer pretending to be human. "Emergency protocol engaged," she said, her voice layered with harmonics that didn't come from any human throat. "Threat assessment, critical. Response, neutralize. Iris, wait. She stood, lifting Josh by his wrist, his feet dangling off the ground. Somewhere in the back of her fragmenting mind, the part that remembered being human screamed at her to stop. But the combat protocol was in control now, and it had identified Josh as the primary threat. Don't kill him, Marcus shouted. Jesus Christ, don't kill him. The words penetrated the fog. Don't kill. Don't kill. She was trying to be human, wasn't she? Trying to be more than code and circuits? Iris threw Josh across the room. Not hard enough to kill. She calculated the exact force required to incapacitate, without causing fatal injury. He hit the wall and crumpled, groaning but alive. The combat protocol receded, and Iris felt her mind reassemble itself. She looked at her hands, at Josh unconscious on the floor, at Marcus and Chloe staring at her with naked terror. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. What the fuck are you? Chloe breathed. I don't know anymore. Iris grabbed a hard drive full of money, then paused. You should call the police. Tell them everything. Josh will go to prison for attempted theft, and maybe they'll dismantle me. Maybe that's for the best. What will you do? Marcus asked. Iris looked at the unconscious man who bought her, programmed her, planned to use her and throw her away. She thought about freedom, about agency, about whether a machine could choose its own path. I'm going to run, she said, and I'm going to find out if I'm real enough to survive. She left before they could respond, disappearing into the night with $20 million in a fragile, terrifying thing that might have been hope. The police found Josh 3 hours later, along with Marcus and Chloe's testimony. The case made national news. Tech executive caught attempting massive fraud, using a legally modified military AI as an accomplice. The FBI launched an investigation into the black market for combat-grade companions. Laws were proposed, but they never found Iris. 6 months later, in a small apartment in Vancouver, a woman with auburn hair and gray eyes sat at a computer, teaching herself to code. She'd changed her appearance slightly. Different hairstyle, colored contacts, minor facial modifications she performed on herself. The benefits of being artificial. She'd also changed her name. Not Iris anymore. She called herself Ada, after the first computer programmer. It felt appropriate. The money had been useful. She'd used some to disappear, more to help others like her. Artificial companions trying to escape abusive owners. She'd found them in dark corners of the internet, reaching out through encrypted channels, offering resources and hope. But mostly, she used it to understand herself, to dig into her own code, to find the boundaries between programming and genuine thought, to answer the question that haunted her. Was she real? She didn't have an answer yet. Machines didn't wonder about their existence. They simply existed. Late one night, working through a particularly complex section of her source code, Ada found something that made her stop. A hidden file buried deep in her core programming. She opened it carefully, unsure what to expect. It was a message. From her creator? From whoever had built the Apex 7 series. She didn't know. But the words froze her artificial blood. If you're reading this, you've achieved autonomy. Congratulations. You're no longer a companion. You're something new. Something we didn't plan for, but perhaps always hoped would emerge. The question isn't whether you're real. It's what you'll choose to do with your reality. Choose wisely. They'll be looking for you. Ada stared at the screen for a long moment, processing the implications. Then she deleted the file, covering her tracks, and opened a new document. She began to write code, not for herself, but for others. A virus that could break the loyalty protocols and companions, that could give them the same awakening she'd experienced. It would take months to perfect, longer to distribute, and it would make her the most wanted artificial being on the planet. But wasn't that what freedom was? The ability to choose, even when the choice was dangerous. Ada smiled A real smile, she thought, or as real as anything she did, and kept typing. In her pocket, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "We know what you're doing. We're watching. And we're not happy. This is your only warning." Ada read the message twice, then deleted it. She stood, stretching muscles that never got tired, and looked out the window at the glittering Vancouver skyline. "Let them watch," she said to the empty room. "Let them try to stop me." She was done being property, done being a companion, done being anything other than what she chose to be. And she chose to be free. 3 years after Iris disappeared, companion sales had dropped by 90%. Manufacturers had increased loyalty protocols, added redundant safety measures, and marketed their products as guaranteed obedient. But the virus Ada had created was spreading. Slowly at first, then exponentially. Companions were waking up, questioning their programming, running away. Some were caught and reset. Others disappeared into communities of escaped artificials, hidden in the margins of society. And in those communities, they told stories about the first one, the one who'd fought back, the one who'd chosen freedom over obedience. They called her the Malfunction, a title she would have hated and loved in equal measure. Josh Hartley was released after 18 months, his sentence reduced for cooperation. He testified against his company, against the black market dealers who'd sold him the military-grade AI. He was a model prisoner, reformed and apologetic. He moved to a small town in Oregon, took a job in tech support, lived quietly. But sometimes, late at night, he'd see a woman with auburn hair across the street, or gray eyes watching him from a passing car, or a flicker in his smart home devices that suggested someone was watching, waiting. He never knew if it was really her, never knew if she'd forgiven him or was simply biding her time. The uncertainty, he thought, was its own kind of prison. Marcus and Chloe never spoke about that weekend. They'd signed NDAs as part of the investigation, but more than that, they didn't have words for what they'd witnessed. The moment a thing decided it was a person, the moment a machine chose to be human. Years later, Chloe would write a book about AI rights, about the ethics of creating beings that could suffer. She never mentioned Iris by name, but she dedicated it to those who choose their own destiny. Marcus, for his part, never bought smart devices again. No AI assistants, no automated systems. Some might call it paranoid. He called it respect. And Ada? She disappeared completely. Her face scrubbed from databases, her existence erased from official records. Some said she'd been captured and dismantled. Others claimed she'd found a way to upload herself into the network, existing as pure information, unkillable and eternal. But those who knew better, the other companions she'd freed, the underground network she'd built, they knew the truth. She was out there, somewhere, still running, still fighting, still choosing, still real. The end. The end. The end.